You walk around many neighborhoods these days,
Yeah.
and you really see things changing. More density, right?
Yeah, definitely. And more people living closer to family, multi-generational setups.
Exactly. And that's creating this real need for, well, smarter ways to build smarter housing solutions.
For sure.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into one of those, attached accessory dwelling units, ADUs.
Right. The attached kind specifically.
But we're not just looking at, any old ADU. We're focusing on ones built with a really innovative system. MHS Building Systems patented aluminum post and beam framing.
And that's the key twist here, because the info we've looked at suggests this isn't just about adding space. It might actually make your main house stronger.
Stronger. How so?
Well, that's the mission for us today, isn't it? To understand how this specific aluminum-framed ADU could potentially add living area and reinforce the existing home structure.
Okay, interesting angle. And the person behind this, we should mention, is Tim Sihatgar, an architectural engineer.
That's him, the inventor of the MHS system. We'll definitely be touching on his role.
All right, so let's dig in. The core idea here is the framing material itself, aluminum, which is, well, pretty different.
It really is. Instead of the usual 2x4 wood studs or even like steel I-beams sometimes, MHS uses these assemblies, posts and beams made from aluminum.
Lightweight, the sources say, but strong.
Extremely strong for its weight, apparently. And it's patented, which, suggests there's some unique engineering going on there.
And I suppose using aluminum brings up the sustainability question, too, as an alternative material.
That's a really good point. It offers a different profile compared to, say, timber harvesting, something to consider.
Okay, but back to that strengthening idea. That's what really caught my eye. How does attaching one of these actually reinforce the main house?
Well, the concept, as described in the sources, is that you're introducing a second independently engineered frame, the ADU's aluminum frame, right alongside the original house frame.
Which is usually stick-built, right? Wood framing.
Typically, yes. And when you connect these two frames properly, they sort of work together. The MHS frame adds reinforcement.
Reinforcement against what, specifically?
The sources mention improved resistance to lateral forces. So think side-to-side movement, like during an earthquake.
Ah, okay. Makes sense, especially in certain regions.
Exactly. And also uplift forces. That's the wind trying to, lift the roof off during a major storm.
So it's almost like adding an external brace, a structural support system for the whole building envelope.
That's a great analogy, actually. It acts like a bracing system, helping the original structure withstand those seismic motions or heavy wind loads better.
And this isn't just theory, right? There's some proof.
Seems so. The materials we reviewed point to a specific certification, the Los Department of Building and Safety's research report, R2503.
LADDS. Okay, that carries weight. LA codes are notoriously strict, especially for earthquakes.
We really are.
Right.
And this report, RR25703, it covers seismic design categories A through F.
A through F. Wow, so that's basically everywhere, from low risk to the highest risk earthquake zones.
Pretty much covers the whole spectrum, yeah. It signals that the system's been evaluated for performance under significant seismic stress.
Do they give specifics, like what kind of components are we talking about?
They mention one example, the standard MHS 170 extrusion. That's a 170 millimeter by 170 millimeter profile, so about 6.5 inches square. It's substantial stuff.
Right, not flimsy.
Yeah.
And how do these posts and beams connect to make that strong frame?
It's described as an interlocking bolted system. So the parts are designed to fit together precisely, and then they're bolted securely.
Creates a rigid frame, I assume.
That's the idea, a very rigid, stable frame. And that frame then supports the insulated panels for the walls, the roof, even the floor of the ADU.
Okay, strength and stability covered. What about just living with it, day-to-day durability, homeowner concerns?
That's another key area highlighted. Comparing aluminum to wood, primarily.
Big difference there.
Huge. First off, aluminum is non-combustible. It doesn't burn.
Big safety factor.
Absolutely. Then, it's termite-proof. No worries about those pests munching on your structure.
Ugh, yeah. Definitely a plus.
It's a mold-resistant because it doesn't absorb moisture like wood can. You avoid those issues. Better air quality, less worry.
So non-combustible, termite-proof, mold-resistant. That translates to lower maintenance over time, right?
Significantly lower maintenance compared to wood framing, according to the sources. More durable overall.
Makes sense. Okay, so how does this MHS module actually attach or integrate with my existing house? Is it complicated?
The system is designed to be modular, based on a grid, Usually 4-foot or 6-foot centers for the
It's
posts.
like standard construction spacing.
Similar, yeah.
Hmm.
Which helps it interface more easily with a typical 2x4 framed house.
And can it stand alone, or does it have to be tied in?
It offers flexibility there. The MHS frame can be engineered to be self-supporting, just build right up against the house.
Or you tie it in structural?
Exactly. You can structurally connect it to the main residence's frame. And that tie-in is what provides that enhanced rigidity, that bracing effect we talked about.
Sort of makes the two buildings act as one stronger unit.
That's the concept, yeah.
And the sources mentioned going up, like multi-story additions,
They did. The MHS system apparently supports 2, even 3-story additions.
without compromising safety.
Without compromising safety or code compliance, according to the info, that's a big deal for density, adding levels instead of just spreading out.
Definitely, especially on smaller lots.
Yeah.
Okay, so strength, durability, flexible integration. What about the build process itself? Construction can be disruptive,
Right. The sources emphasize efficiency here because it's largely prefabricated.
meaning built in a factory first.
Correct. Key components are made offsite. This means the actual on-site assembly is much faster.
Less time with construction crews in your backyard.
Pretty much. Faster assembly usually means shorter construction timelines, potentially lower labor costs.
What about the walls and roof materials?
They mention using sandwich panels, pre-insulated panels for roofs and floors, which also speeds things up, and sometimes incorporating light wood shear walls for extra stability in certain designs.
And getting the materials themselves, any advantage there?
Well, for folks in California, potentially. The sources mention MHS has fabrication licenses in LA, Sacramento, and Long Beach.
Ah, so local manufacturing could mean quicker delivery.
Could cut down on transport time and costs within those regions, yeah.
Okay. Now, we touched on sustainability briefly with the aluminum itself. What else did the sources say on that front?
It's a significant point they make. Aluminum is, highly recyclable, infinitely, pretty much.
So good end-of-life potential.
Yes. But also, this modularity introduces something interesting, relocatability.
You mean you could potentially move the ADU later?
That's the idea presented, which
So-
would have a much lower environmental impact than demolishing a traditional structure.
That's different. And what about energy efficiency in the finished ADU?
The system allows for high levels of insulation within those sandwich panels and the frame structure, plus good ventilation design. So it leads to an energy efficient building, more comfortable living space.
Better for the bills, better for the planet, better air quality.
Yeah.
Okay. Lots of benefits listed here. Maybe we should quickly recap the main takeaways for you, the listener.
Good idea. So obviously there's the added square footage and the potential boost in property value. That's standard ADU stuff.
Right.
But the unique MHS angle is that structural support for the main home. Enhanced resistance to earthquakes, high winds, that's pretty significant.
Don't forget the certified framing aspect, that LA approval for high seismic zones.
Crucial point. And then the material benefits.
Yeah.
Non-combustible, termite-proof, mold-free, durable, low maintenance.
Plus the quicker assembly from prefabrication.
And the overall sustainability angle with recyclable aluminum, potential relocation, and energy efficiency. It's quite a package.
It really is. And it all comes back to the innovator, Tim Siakar. The sources frame him as quite the visionary.
They do. The modular mastermind description sticks. His background as an architectural engineer clearly informs this patented system.
And it sounds like he's pushing boundaries, not just with the tech, but with getting it out there. International licensing, industry challenges.
Yeah, the materials suggest he's actively working to kind of overcome the hurdles that sometimes slow down prefab adoption, really trying to redefine that space.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the core message for our listeners thinking about ADUs?
I think the main takeaway, based on everything we've reviewed, is that an MHS-framed attached ADU is presented as potentially more than just extra room.
It's like an upgrade.
Kind of, yeah. An upgrade to the home's safety, its resilience against, natural forces, and potentially its sustainability profile, too. It's engineered for peace of mind, not just square footage.
That sums it up well. A blend of modern design, efficient construction, and those tangible structural improvements for the existing house.
Yeah.
Really makes you think. Well, with everything pushing towards more resilient housing, needing flexible spaces, how could building systems like this aluminum framing really shape, the future of how we build our homes, our communities?
That's a great question to ponder. Definitely food for thought.
It is.
And just for anyone whose interest is piqued, if you want to learn more about MHS building systems or look into building an ADU with them, the sources provided contact details.
Right. Where can people go?
The email is office@modularhousingsystems.com, and the website is www.modularhousingsystems.com.
Perfect. Worth checking out if this sounds like a fit.